Welcome back for this third week of Advent. This is Father Mark, and it's been a real privilege of being with you in this sacred pilgrimage of our anticipating Christmas. And as we have been getting our hearts ready for Christmas in this Advent season, we have been blessed to have been given some direction from our bishop, Bishop Shelton Fabre, and he has given us a reason to hope. Welcome back for week 3. Week 3 was a really beautiful story about his life in New Orleans as a new bishop and a new diocese, and arriving there literally 1 year and 6 months to the day after Hurricane Katrina. And in that third chapter, he just tells the story about 3 very specific things that are connected to living in hope: patience, perseverance, and constancy. And those 3 are invitations from our Holy Father, Pope Benedict XVI in Spe Salve, around living in hope. How is it that we can live in hope? How is it that we can be a people of hope? How is it that we can live in communion with the Lord in such a way that hope just becomes who we are rather than something that we're trying to do? Pope Francis opened up that third chapter by encouraging us to let nothing rob us of our hope. I love that line. First of all, I love Pope Francis. He's just so blunt and so direct and just says all the things that we either want to say or need to hear. And it says wisdom comes to us through that invitation to let nothing rob us of our hope, because I think we all know what it's like to have circumstances of life, people in life, the unexpectancies of life, to just take our hope, to take our joy, to rob us of the peace that we so long for. Especially when you're struggling, especially when you're suffering. It's easy for discouragement. It's easy for the fatigue of waiting to take our hope from us. And so as the Holy Father, Pope Francis, says, let nothing rob you of your hope, Bishop Fabre walks us through in his own very personal way with the story of Hurricane Katrina, that we need to be patient, which of course deals with waiting. We need to have perseverance, which of course is connected to trusting the Lord and that He's going to be with us, especially in the fatigue of waiting, and the constancy, having a firm disposition to choose to be a people of hope, even when it's difficult for us to do that. A beautiful chapter, one that I found to be particularly encouraging in my own life because of the things that I know I struggle with, and what are the patterns that rob me of my hope. I was especially drawn to the part in the chapter where he talked about the fatigue of waiting. I don't know if I would have ever have named it as such, but the fatigue of waiting. When you're waiting for God to come through for something in your life or somebody else's life that you love, when you're waiting for that prayer to be answered, and you're waiting, and you're waiting, and you're waiting, there can be a fatigue in the wait. And I think that as I look at the chapter, I think that's where I'm most susceptible, at least, to having my joy being robbed from me. Where I was really drawn in the chapter was in paragraph number 33, that talks about God's patterns in suffering and our patterns in suffering. Our patterns of fidelity and God's patterns of fidelity. Because if I am familiar with anything in my life, I am certainly familiar with my patterns. And I'm certainly familiar with the pressure that I put on myself of not meeting my own expectations because of my patterns. So here's what my life looks like. Welcome to my own very messy world. I have expectations of who I'm supposed to be and how I'm supposed to act and the manner with which I'm supposed to live. I can usually cooperate with God's grace and meet those expectations, but you throw in suffering, you throw in the curveballs in life, and then all of a sudden I am tired in the waiting, and then I'm not going to choose so many times. I'm not going to make the choices that I would ordinarily make because the fatigue is making the choice rather than good discernment or the voice of the Lord in communion. And then I become my own worst enemy. I judge myself for not meeting my expectations. I judge myself for not being patient. I judge myself for not being there for the Lord. Tell you a little personal story. I am the fifth of six kids in my family, and I love my siblings, and I love their kids. As a celibate priest who has way too many kids rather than not enough, I do look at my nieces and nephews as just the children that I always would have wanted to have had. And the great part about it is that I'm like a grandparent too, because I don't have to raise them. I can send them home at the end of a day of being with them. But I love them, and I can't spend the time with them that I would often want to. Priesthood's an amazing life. It is a life like none other. Especially in the latter years of my priesthood, I've come to just cherish the invitation and privilege of serving people. Most recently, serving Bishop Fabre, serving our diocese in the role that I have. And that big yes comes with a lot of little no's. And sometimes that no is in response to my family. I can't always show up for what they ask me to show up for. I can't always do what I want to do with them. And as there's a big yes to God and where I am right now, sometimes there's a no to places that I really want to be. And I love my family. I love being with them. And I can't always be there. And sometimes, I think just to be honest with you, there's a part of my heart that wonders, are they going to get tired of calling? Like every time they call, I can't do it. Every time they call, I have to say no. Every time I show up, I show up late or I have to leave early. And I just wonder sometimes, are they going to get tired of calling? Are they just going to presume that I can't come, and is the phone just going to stop ringing? Here's a beautiful part about at least my family. My family loves me despite of me. My family loves me in me. My family loves me because of who they are, not because of who I am. And they never stop calling. Like, they still invite. They still reach out. You see, I'm aware of my relationships on a human level, and that sometimes because of the circumstances of life, I can't do what I want to do, even with my family. And I wonder, are they going to get so fed up with my pattern of fidelity? Are they going to give up on me? Now, if that's true on a natural level, how much more true is it on a supernatural level, a God level, you might say? If that's true here, is that going to be the same here? And if I'm like that, I think we're a lot like that, huh? Like, I know how many times I have checked out on God, or how many times I've gotten frustrated with God, or how many times that I just can't wait anymore for God. And I know what my patterns are, right? That's when I run, that's when I divert, that's when I distract, that's when I just give up. And I wonder sometimes, is God going to get tired of that? Is God going to give up on me? I know my patterns of fidelity, and sometimes I wonder, actually sometimes I just project my patterns onto Him. And I was just drawn in paragraph 33 to the insight from Bishop Fabre and Pope Benedict XVI about, regardless of our patterns, God only has one pattern. He is faithful, period. And that's good news, because I'm aware of the way that I respond. And I think nothing accentuates our patterns of fidelity more than suffering. Nothing intensifies or reveals to us more the ways that we are either faithful to God or unfaithful to God more than times of adversity, times of tension, times when we are tired, times when we're struggling. Maybe times like right now, like in your life. Maybe life is such that you are just really aware of anxiety or overwhelm or pressure, words that I think we could probably connect with. And I would imagine that the way that we respond to pressure, to overwhelm, to anxiety, on a natural level, can get frustrated with people or short with people or less open to people. We probably all do the same thing with God. And sometimes it's this time of year, right? Which the third week of Advent right now. Christmas is knocking on the door. Depending on when you watch this video, Christmas might be 7 days from now. And there's just a lot going on. Maybe you're getting ready to see people who you haven't seen in a while, or you're getting ready to host a lot of people at your house, or maybe you're just trying to catch up. Or if you're like me, I haven't bought my Christmas presents either, so you can give yourself some relief right there. But there's just a lot going on at this time of year. And when stress enters the equation, or when suffering enters the equation, it triggers a lot of times our patterns of being unfaithful to God. So if that's where you are, that's where I am. Join the rest of the human race whenever you're ready. We all do that. We all have our own patterns. Bishop Fabre said that there was a reason to hope. There is a reason to hope. And it has nothing to do with our patterns. There's a reason to hope. It has everything to do with God's patterns. He is faithful, period. It's a great book by one of my favorite authors, Jesuit priest, Peter Van Bremen. And the name of the book is A God Who Won't Let Go. And the first chapter of that book, I don't think I've ever read the rest of the book. I can't get out of chapter 1. Is about the fact that we all need love, and we all need more than we deserve. I love that. We all need love. And we all need more than we deserve. We don't deserve God. And if you've been trying to deserve God, if you've been trying to prove to God that you're worthy of Him, stop. You'll never, ever, ever, ever perform well enough in your life, get it right enough in life, be faithful enough in life to prove to God that you deserve His love. You don't deserve His love. I don't deserve His love. We don't deserve the amount of love that we need, but He gives it to us anyway. Whew. Merry Christmas early. That's good news. He is faithful with His love. Even when we don't deserve it, He gives it to us anyway. It's really good news because the only way that we can live in hope, the only way that we can be patient, persevere, the only way that we can thrive in constancy is with Him. Certainly it's a virtue. We need to exercise our will. We need to engage with God even when we don't feel like engaging with God. However, in the midst of all that, when we can't do it on our own, we need to ask Him for help. And we can be assured that He is there because God is always with us. He is faithful. Regardless of the way that we might give up on Him, He is never going to give up on us. He never gets tired of reaching out to us, regardless of our patterns. So when you're trying to be patient in suffering, when you're trying to be patient with life, and you got nothing left, and you say to yourself, I can't do this all on my own anymore, that's true. You can't do this anymore on your own. And that's when all we need is a name, right? Hey, it's Advent. We're getting ready for Christmas. What's His name? What does Isaiah say? What is it that we claim in the Gospel of Matthew? His name is Emmanuel, which is God is with us. His name is not God is with us if you just get everything right in life. His name is not God is with us if you just act like the perfect Christian. His name is not God is with us if you can just stay not being messy. No, His name is Emmanuel. God is with us now. And when you don't have any more patience, can you just cry out and say, God, I need you to be Emmanuel. I need you to be with me. And when you need perseverance because you can't see your way out, and you can't see the light in the darkness, you can't see not only how to get out, you didn't know how you even got into this place, so you feel alone and you feel stuck. If that's where you are right now, if you need perseverance in your life, I want to give you a reason to hope, because hope has a name. His name is Jesus. His name is Emmanuel. He is with you and ready to give that to you if you are tired in the waiting. And if your heart says you can't do it, if you hear the voices of despair and discouragement, right? That's what constancy is, a firmness in our interior, a firmness in our attitude. We choose to choose even when we don't see the reason to do that. If you can't do that on your own, can you at least today say, God, I need you to be with me? One of my dear friends, he was a spiritual father, still is a spiritual father. He was my director on my 30-day silent retreat. At a very key point in the retreat, he looked at me as I was trying to do it all on my own, my pattern in life. And he says, when you need to, all you have to say is this: I can't. And you can, and you promised. That's good stuff right there. I can't, but you can, and you promise. If you need patience right now in your life and you can't do that, just say this with me: I can't, you can, and you promised. Can you help me with the patience? If the fatigue is getting to you and you don't know the way out, you just can't wait to get past Christmas, to get through with the holidays, to be done with all this. Stop trying to do it all by yourself. Just say, I can't, you can, and you promised. Maybe you feel like he's gone because you don't feel his presence. And so you're looking at your marriage and the struggle's right there and your spouse isn't changing. You've tried again to intercede for your kids and your kids aren't changing. Or maybe you're worried about all the ordinary anxieties of health, somebody else's health, your health, the economy, the country, the way things are going, the way things have been. Like wherever you are, I just want to tell you, he's with you. And if you don't see a way out, he does, because he looks at your whole life all at once, even when you can't see it. I can't. You can, and you promised. God's got a promise. And what we celebrate this Advent is that he made a promise to the people of Israel that he would not abandon them in 400 years in slavery and all the wandering in the desert and all those years where they waited and waited and waited, almost 2,000 years where they waited for the fulfillment of the promise. I want to declare to you today that Jesus Christ is real, that God came through on his promise, because our God is a God who makes promises and who comes through on his promises. And that's a reason to hope. And if he is fighting for us more than we're fighting for him, then he is going to give us the grace to live in him and to not let discouragement or fatigue or the anxieties of life rob us of our hope. Now I want you to imagine right now, with the greatest struggle in your life, I want you to imagine the greatest fear that you have. I want you to imagine the greatest temptation or voice of despair that's in your heart. And I want you to imagine that God is fighting for you. You know, sometimes in life all you can see is darkness, and I think a lot of times we just presume that he's not with us. What if God were so close, and because of his nearness, all you could see is the darkness, right? You take a little bitty baby, and that baby is fidgety and fussy, and that baby is just cranky. And what's a great grandmother going to do, right? Grandmother's going to pick it up and is going to put it right next to her chest. And sometimes when that baby is really tired and fussy, just press it into her heart, right? And sometimes that baby is so close, it can't see anything except darkness, because it's so pressed into the heart of the one that loves. I want to encourage anyone today who might be listening. If you are trying to have a reason to hope and you can't find one because you just have darkness, maybe just consider this. God is so near to you. He has pressed you so far into his heart that's why you all you see is darkness. And right there, can you cry out? I can't. But in faith, believe that he can and that he promised. Be patient. Cry out with everything in your heart. And ask yourself this Christmas, what do you really need? It's just a couple days away. What's being given to you in just a couple days is the gift of God himself. A God whose name is Emmanuel, who's with us. And all you have to do is ask for what you really, really need. What do you want for Christmas? What do you need in your life? Stay still as these days of Advent draw to a close. Be patient. Persevere. Ask for the grace of constancy. And until we see you, may God bless you.